Okay, we're gonna talk about the slab relief tile project. So I have a printed sheet that gives you directions on exactly what to do. It also has some visuals on it as well. The first step that you should do is actually go to the ceramic learning site and watch the presentation, or kind of view the presentation. So that looks like that up there. You can see it, it's on the ceramic learning site. You'll go through and actually view the presentation and learn about relief tile and slab. So I'm going to show you actually how to make this today over here. So we will go to the bucket and get 1 pound, 8 ounces. So when I say bucket, I'm talking about the gray bucket right here. You will reach in, get out a couple clumps of clay, and you will weigh it. Make sure you put the lid back on the bucket. We will come over to the scale and gently put our clay on the scale. See how much it weighs. It should be about 1 pound, 8 ounces, or 1.5 pounds. Your next step is to wedge the clay. So wedging the clay, you're gonna push the clay forward, rock it, turn it vertical, wedge the clay a little bit. So you should be getting sort of this spiral motion. You can also hit the clay to make sort of a cube-like shape. All right, so you now need to flatten this on 2 sides. Right now we're gonna make our slab. So to flatten on 2 sides, you will hit it down onto the canvas. As you're throwing it down, it's gonna get flat. That is what you want. You want it to be about a 1/2 inch thick, or around that area. You will then get 2 slab sticks that are a 1/4 inch thick. You're gonna lay those slab sticks, I'll go this way, on either side of the clay. The clay should be in the middle with space on both sides. So it should look like this. It should not be tight like that. It has no room to go. So leave some space. You will then need a rolling pin. So the rolling pins are way down there. So you will get a rolling pin. You're going to then make sure that the rolling pin rolls the clay. And the goal is for the rolling pin to be flat on the slab sticks. So you will roll, flip, roll some more, until the rolling pin is only rolling on the slab sticks and no longer touching the clay. Once you have this done, just double check, flip it one more time. Make sure that it is an even piece of clay. You will then put your slab sticks back on the shelf. You are going to then get a canvas and take this to your seat. I'm not gonna do that right now, I'm just gonna do it here. But you'll put this on a canvas and go to your seat area. So this is a metal rib that has teeth. You are going to scratch or rough up the surface of the clay. That is going to allow any air bubbles that are in there to kind of pop. You also will be able to smooth it with your rib better if you rough it up first. So I'm gonna just use this yellow rib. I'm gonna smooth the clay. You want to do this to both sides of your clay. Always clean your tool when you are done using it. This is for any slab that you make. You will determine the shape and the size that you need. That is how you know how much clay to get. We only need to have either this 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 or 4 1/4 by 6. So I knew that this would fit, 1.5 pounds would fit this clay. Every time you make a slab, you should rough it up with the rib with teeth and then smooth it out. All right, now that my clay is smooth, I'm going to use whichever template I have decided. So I should have already looked at the presentation, sketched it out. I should know what my design is going to be. So if I'm going to make this design right here, which I sketched earlier, it is a square. So I know that I need to use a square template to get it to fit on here. Some of you may sketched and made a rectangle shape, so you would then use a rectangle. So I'm going to use the square shape. Since I have enough clay, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 out. The reason we cut 2 is in case we make a mistake, or we can use it for our additive parts. I'm holding down the template as I'm cutting. I'm going to leave this extra clay over here. I have one of my squares cut. I'm going to cut one more. You want to be very careful how you handle your tile, that you're not just like bending it. Clay has memory and it will tend to warp. Warp means that it will bend and not be flat. I'm going to get a piece of paper towel and I'm going to put both of my clay pieces on this piece of paper towel. That way when I come into class next, I will be ready to do my design and ready to start. The clay is too soft right now to actually start my project, so I will put this in a bag, put it on my tray on my shelf, and be ready to go. I could keep these extra scraps if I wanted to. I could practice rolling out different textures on my scraps to see what I might like or what I might want to add to my piece. So there's all kinds of textures in the texture drawer. This is a roll-on texture, as you can see. Here is another roll-on texture. These are optional, not something that you have to do, but some people like to add texture to their pieces, or it may fit with your design. You might go into the texture drawer and see what kind of stamps. I have stamps that you can use. I have all kinds of items in this drawer. Sometimes the items that I have, you may not think about using them for what they might look good for. This makes a very good sand texture if you sort of stipple it and go in different directions. So you can see that's a nice little sand texture on there. If you're doing something oceany, you might want to consider what it looks like to just scratch this across the surface instead of stipple it. So there's all kinds of things to play with and look at. You would put your tiles in a bag Any excess clay, break into small bits, put back into the gray bucket. You could keep some clay that you would later then add on for your additive parts, and you will clean all of your tools. You also should clean up your space wherever you are at. If you have questions, let me know.